Welcome to another episode of Maniacal Music Musings. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, and I am that thirst. When young marks crave that stardust, they come to me. They move below to run to your grave, all pawned into my party politics. My co-host, though, may be familiar when he sings the melody. The truth will set you free, so he wrote a note to self to start that triple threat. The armies of the preposterous, ligature marks, and the abysmal eye is all he needs to fix that broken cog and hit 7xx7. Motherfucking Chancy Greif.
Hi.
And of course, we are back once again with another guest to discuss these albums three, which our guest today, I am very proud to have, I believe from the UK, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not mistaken.
And
Nice.
our guest is Stephen Morgan, comedian,
Hello.
improviser, musician, writer, and so much more probably. But the musician part and the comedian part is what made me say I need to get that guy on my show. But
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I'll see what I can do. What an intro, right?
yeah, my intro.
I know, that's why I always just say hi. I'm always like, and that's usually the reaction I'm looking for because, like, he goes on this rant. It's not a rant. It's usually, sometimes it's pretty good. But, like,
Yeah.
I mean, what am I supposed to say? So I'm just like, hi.
It is, it's like this beautiful tour of all the song titles, but it's kind of, all you're left with is kind of like, wow, you nod in appreciation, but nodding in appreciation doesn't work well on a podcast. So you have to just say, hey.
Right?
Well, the ones I do best, it usually has him dying laughing at the end. But those are few and far between.
That sounds a bit like when it's like, yeah, I got a girlfriend. She just goes to a different school. That's what I'm hearing right now.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just it depends on the song titles what I have to work with. So I try. That's fair. I try to keep it on theme, but it works. It works better when we do brackets, and I got 32 different or 34 different song titles to go by. But anyway, we are here as always to discuss three albums, and Stephen brought us an album that is something unlike anything we've ever had, and I am very happy to say that because we'll get into it. But Stephen, what album did you bring, and tell us why you wanted to bring it?
I will. I brought in the My She's Hell Yeah. Which is an absolutely frantic one of those bands who are kind of like this like punk art house band who made music that was borderline unlistenable for the longest time, and then for this very brief period of time like expanded their lineup to actually have people who could write sort of melodies amongst all of the chaos, and they created this album that is weirdly almost religious, which was also an unexpected twist and turn. But they almost like they felt like they wanted to try and, I don't know, put this critique on religion, but in a really sort of weird and like non-specific way, and created something which honestly I think is just it felt right that they broke up after it. You know what I mean? It felt right that this album just sort of came together and then nothing followed it up. I think if something followed it up, it would have taken away from something about its weird purity and it's just like completely out there. Because I don't think it's an album which there's really much that sounds like it, and I still revisit it quite regularly right up to this day. And it's it came out in 2008, I think. So that's 14 years now. Damn, time flies.
It does, and well, I'll give my review first, I guess. And I mean, when I first previewed a couple tracks of the CD when I first got it from you, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like literally, that was my reaction. I'm like, am I watching a cartoon? Is this some video game music? Like, what am I experiencing here? But then, like, literally the last 40 minutes before we started the show, I was listening to your album, and I was enjoying it. I was like listening to it, and I'm listening to the lyrics though, and looking at the lyrics on Spotify while it's playing, and I'm like, huh. I'm like, the lyrics are freaking catchy as hell, and I agree with a lot of the lyrics. So I'm like, all right, this is not bad, but some of their stuff is just so weird. Like I literally,
it is.
I literally felt like I was in the middle of a video game for most of their songs, or like watching characters on a cartoon show on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network's thing, which is funny enough because I looked up the band.
It's funny you mentioned that actually with the cartoon comparison, because actually, because at the core there are these two brothers who are the songwriters, and those two have actually, one of them at least has gone on to start writing video game and like kids shows, TV themes and things like this. So you can the parallel you drew there was very real and definitely was something which was like in one of the main writers that he wanted to go in that direction. So but the way that it came across in the album, it just actually sort of gives a really weird twist to the style the actual music is in, because that's it. There's like there's a real innocence, right, in kind of kids stuff, and like video game music is like very sort of almost it can be a bit like unemotional and like detached in some sort of cases, because you just want to have something that's like really driving and background. But actually having those sorts of elements, which are not the sorts of things that you kind of like associate with like a thrashier punk sound, is what I think kind of gives it its quite unique sound.
I agree. I mean, and like you mentioned, I looked up the band and they did the theme song for Fanboy and Chum Chum on Nickelodeon back in like the late 2000s. But so I mean, I was like, oh, that makes this music make a little more sense if that's what they ended up doing, is making a theme song for a Nickelodeon show. That makes a lot more sense now. But I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. When I first previewed it, but then when I listened to the whole thing, I'm like, this is good. I can't say it has like re-listen value to me, because sometimes the music is too much. Like, I was waiting for I was playing in the living room. I'm literally waiting for my wife to yell from the kitchen, like, to turn that off, like, or like walk in and be like, what the hell are you listening to? But yeah.
That's a fair response, I think. And actually, yeah, it's funny when I was talking about the band lineup. So it also is like they had a really traumatic or like a really like terrible time in terms of the actual band themselves, and the people who were part of the lineup. So there were these two core brothers that were part of the band for the longest time, and they were basically the only ones that carried through from the beginning to the end. And then during this album recording, they did bring on extra people, and some more of which they needed to tour it, and then because it got like quite a lot of hype when it first came out and a lot of publicity around it. But then basically this really weird thing happened where some of the people who were in the touring band ended up starting to book shows under the band name, playing the songs, but without some of the members even knowing about it, because they'd gotten that like, you know, tense and that much of a bad relationship between the people there. So you ended up having, right at the end, they had like these live shows under the name of the My She that had none of the members who actually were part of that recording, which is a really surreal situation, as you can imagine. And then basically there was this like borderline legal period where the original brothers were like, what the hell? You know, we need to take ownership of this name again. This is our band. What the hell is going on? We wrote these and recorded these songs. You can't just tour them and then say like, it's our band now. And so, yeah, when you're talking about like the theme tune stuff, that came... there was a point for the longest time where it was like, are they broken up? Like, who is even in the band? And even to this day, I don't think they've officially broken up. It's just this kind of like weird thing now where you're just like, this, I don't even know what even the machine means anymore.
Yeah, they seems like they've been on a hiatus for a long, long time now. But
I think a long time at this point, yeah.
But Chancy, what was your review of the CD? I'm kind of dying to hear it.
You know, a lot of it kind of made me feel almost like reminiscent of Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, I can get that.
And go ahead.
No. The Mr. Bungle's a nice comparison, I think, actually. The give a fuck attitude and the
Right.
we are going to confound your expectations is definitely, I think, a common thing there.
Yeah, for sure. And like just the way that like there was some even like in some of the songs that were on my list I picked because I mean, some of it was just I dug, like, like the way the guitar, not just the guitar, but like the melody was different than the lyrics, and
Right.
some of them about the actual stories themselves. Because I mean, that shit's it's funny and interesting. Like, like they're gonna do a concept album about the Old Testament, and then it's just like then they're done. It's like, you know what we're going to do next? We're going to write about the Old Testament and just say, fuck it.
They didn't even do the new one. Jeez.
And it worked.
Yeah, they took a hit from the Jews playbook, but
I mean, it's actually, I'm kind of. It sounds cool that you. I was wondering what your reaction would be to this one because I threw this one out there as it is a very like love or hate album as well. I think in terms of and Mr. Bungle is a great comparison in that because I do feel like it's proactively trying to. Well, fuck with you, basically. Like, one of the things that, I'm surprised neither of you mentioned, which is that in the middle of this album is this 13-minute, like, honestly, it's just like a monstrously awful remix track thing, which I don't know why it's there. It spoils the flow. It's way too long. It's not interesting. And this is and you can tell that this was put in because this was just like a bunch of guys kind of like just like there was no part of this album that was supposed to be popular or big or massive, This was just like I can almost imagine in the studio kind of like we've made this big Old Testament like concept album that's got elements of video game music, but also this thrashy punk thing with a lot of like call and response vocals. Let's put a 13-minute mega mix in the middle, and just being like, yeah, okay, yeah, that'd be funny. It's just such a. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
That was where I got the Bungle reference. I was like, God, that's some Mr. Bungle shit right there.
I got to admit though, whenever I have this, like, I'm listening to this album, that is the one which I always skip. As soon as that song comes on, I'm just like, okay, we're good.
I ain't gonna lie. Like, I listened to a couple minutes of it, and I'm like, fast forwarding through it to see if there's any like actual like lyrics being sung the whole song, and I was like. All right, I'm skipping this. Like I skipped through like 10 times. I'm like, okay, bye. Like I'll go on to the next song. I'm a little short on time, and 11-minute song with no words. I'm good on that. Like, it ain't gonna be my top 5 regardless. So moving on.
Yeah.
But
you're right. You're not missing much there.
I'm sure. From what I gathered, I could tell that. But speaking of top 5s, what were yours for this CD, Steven?
Over me, oh damn. Let's see, the second track on there, with the Pwned, actually, that's the one which feels the wildest one, which actually encapsulates the whole kind of like Old Testament vibe the strongest. Where to me, it's kind of like it's where it really just falls off the rails because the opening track, Lamb and Lion, has still got kind of like more of that upbeatness to it. So to me, that's the one that I think when I first heard it, like actually made me sit up and listen and wonder what the hell this was, because I realized it wasn't just, I don't know, some nice, kind of throwaway stuff. But other than that, I think like Party Politics is probably my second. That one's like got a. It's just one of those ones. I think also the position it comes into the album as well. It just everything before it starts to get a bit quite electronic, and there's a sort of a period where it's starting to just like everything slows down, and then Party Politics just absolutely derails any feeling of like just relaxedness or ambience that you got there. Then maybe would be Lamb and Lion, because I do think that it is a strong song, and it kind of is a real kind of nice opener to just really say what they're about. Would be third, fourth, 7 times by the 7 times 7, because that's one of the ones which just has this really I don't know, kind of it's where it's got a good balance of everything I think that the album has to offer, all the different styles, even including a part of the song where you just wonder why they put it in. But like, it's a real, it's kind of like the highlight reel of everything that's going on. And then my fifth would probably be maybe a little surprising, but I Want Almost Anything, just because it's the sort of song which I kind of, it's got a real sort of bringing everything together. Like that's the funny thing about this album, is that everything is like so old, so religious, but like a skew on religion. But at the same time, the way they deliver it is almost like gospel tinged at times with all the vocals and everything. And that particular one is where it's just kind of like blurring the line between everything that they're doing and what they're actually singing about as well. And so, those are it's hard to pick a top 5 though. All I know is what my last place is.
Yeah, I think we all know what that last place is for all of us, really. But
yeah,
well, maybe not for Chancy. He likes some weird shit sometimes. But all right. So I actually did have an honorable mention for this CD. Young Marks is an honorable mention for me because that song was catchy as hell with the lyrics, and the rhythm was amazing.
Yeah,
I like that. That song was really good. And yeah, you're gonna find a lot of these have to do with my beliefs in religion and the way they sing about it. I agree with a lot of it. But number 5 was 7XX7, or however you're supposed to say it. But because that song was catchy, but it was number 5 definitely. Number 4 was the melody, because the melody, like the actual melody to the song, was amazing, and the lyrics were kind of interesting too. Like, made me think of them talking about people singing in church and how it kind of like entrances you and makes you want to believe. And then number 3 was Party Politics, and like the whole line at the end, there's the point, bounce the party. Like that's that line right there. I mean, for Americans, that's something we are so freaking strongly believing in. Like, is party system's so outdated at this point. But
yeah,
number 2 was Pawned, because like I said, anything that's, I mean, I talk about religion all the time on my paranormal podcast, and like I talk about how I hate organized religion. I freaking hate it. But I believe I believe in spirituality and believing in things, but organized religion is the worst thing to happen in the world. I mean, look at the death toll. But so Pawned was perfect. Like that, I was actually taking my dogs out and I was listening to that the first time, and I'm like it's in my pockets. I'm getting like every once in a while I'll get like a line or two, like as I actually hear. And then like when I went back upstairs, I'm like, all right, I gotta restart this song. I gotta hear this whole thing and look at the lyrics. And I'm like, oh, I'm happy I restarted that and looked at the lyrics. Holy shit. And then number 1, which I'm surprised you didn't mention honestly in yours, but number 1 was Run to Your Grave. Like that song is like the lyrics in that song, emotion is a simple test to the synapse. Don't let it make you think you have brains. Like, like that line right there was just like, yes, been saying that for like 20 fucking years. Yes. Just because people have emotions doesn't mean they're intelligent. Thank you. Like, I had that when I heard that, when I saw that, when I heard it, and when I read that lyric, I was like, I think I'm in love with this fucking song. And I feel like I've heard Run to Your Grave somewhere before. Like, I feel like I heard it somewhere.
That was the single, so it's the most likely.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I hear it somewhere, and I hear also like the melody from it, like in a commercial. Like, I think
Who knows?
for the commercial they changed it to like "Run, You Are Free" or something like that. But it sounds like exactly the same melody and everything. It's just that song though was fucking incredible. Like that was my song I will take from this album and love forever. Is "Run to Your Grave." But Chancy, what were your top 5, good sir?
I actually had 2 honorable mentions here. One was Divine Harvest. The other one was Hell Yeah. Number 5 was Leech and Locust.
I knew you like all the weird shit.
Number 4 was Book of Numbers.
Really not one.
Okay.
Number 3 was Young Marks.
Mm.
Number 2 was 7 by 7. And then number 1 was Kingdom Come.
Wow, I knew
That's
you would
so
pick all the opposite
funny.
ones. I knew you'd pick all the opposite ones that I did. Knew it.
It's so funny. That is almost basically the track list. You know, when you throw in both your honorable mentions.
Oh, I thought
But
I thought it was all a chance to write some down as we're starting the show. Like, just go look at the track list here and write down one by one. But you know,
Nope. I listened to them all like 6 o'clock this morning. I woke up, couldn't go back to sleep, and then Casey went to work, and I was like, I'll just do it, man. It'll be all right.
And meanwhile, Vito throws something in your head like, "What the fuck are you listening to this early in the morning?"
Nah, he was out
at 6 in the morning. Holy shit, that's a record for him. But well, yeah. So overall, I enjoyed that CD to some degree, and I like hearing things I never would have heard if it wasn't for this show, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my main reason wanting to share it is because it seemed like it had overlap with the sort of stuff that you've been sharing, but also like quite a wildly different style as well. And it's definitely one of those albums as well, which I kind of like with so many of those ones which are just so niche and so just came out of nowhere and just have an extra mystique out of it. I am very much glad that they didn't make any more music, really, because it's a style as well that I think that if there was another album to try and do something like that, it would probably not only not land as well, but it would also kind of spoil the original too, because it would feel a little bit like I can't take too much more of this range of pitch of vocals in this sort of style and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I agree. But all right, Chancy, why don't we do your album next? We'll go from the art rock, as they call it, to the extreme bite your head off your corpse music.
I see you say silly things like that, but this album's, like these guys, there's a few bands like Meshuggah, Job for a Cowboy. They're heavy metal bands, so it's understandably a little bit difficult for some people to hear the words that they're saying when they're singing. But the lyrics themselves have so much meaning that when you read the lyrics, you're like, oh my goodness. How, like you understand that the human voice itself is a musical instrument when re-listening to the actual, album again, knowing what the words already are.
Well,
and
I mean,
go ahead.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I wasn't trying to spread hate to you, but I mean, and Steve's band did almost the same thing. Like you have to listen to the lyrics like a couple times to get like what they're saying, and it's like, oh, okay, now that's different. Like that's what people should be saying. But so please continue. What album did you bring though, Chancy? What was the actual name of the album?
Yeah, right. Well, it's a band I already brought before. It's Meshuggah. They're a heavy metal, gent style band, and the name of the album is Immutable.
Destroy rise, as craving.
I think it's their most recent album,
I think so.
and it's right on as far as how they normally run. Like the last album I brought Obs in, I picked specifically for Bleed, which has this amazing inversion of drum playing. So like all the stuff that the drummer would normally play on the top drums, he was playing with his feet, and then keeping the beat with everything on top. It was just like drummers go to their shows to watch this person play this song because it impresses other drummers. And then you take that plus like the information inside of the songs themselves, the guitars, the lyrics, like the singer, the way he uses his voice as an instrument. It really is. It's epic. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, same as Tommy Lee when like people go to watch him just like drumming the cage that's rolling. Like the fact that he can do that while Cage is rolling around at high speed is just amazing. But I mean, yes, the CD truly was unmutable. But Steven, what is your review of Chancy CD as a guest?
It's I actually really appreciate the extra context, because I mean I did like it, but it's not like a style that I would usually listen to, because I do like some metal, but it's just Meshuggah. I have to admit I've only I look back. I'm like a Last FM nerd, and I was like, oh, okay, I've only listened to one of their albums twice, but it's a name that they're just so well known. They have such a reputation, and like to discover that you're throwing something out in 2022. So I'm thinking like, okay, this is an established band with a new album. It's like that usually is not so much of a good sign, but I have to admit there's something so hypnotic about it. And as you said, one of the key things I really enjoyed was the using a voice as an instrument, almost, in the sense that there was so much range in what he's doing with the vocals there, and that right from like the very first Unbroken Cog, when it comes in as well, it's actually quite unexpected as a style to go with everything that's coming with it, and even though I kind of, to me, it brought, and this is probably like my limited knowledge, that hypnotic sound of Isis, who I've listened to a fair bit, it kind of definitely sort of tapped into that sort of rain in my part of my brain. But I do think that it's actually got a lot more variation, a lot more going on with it. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It's kind of one of those ones where I went in and first song came on, I hear the chugging riffs and everything. I can hear it's that kind of technical metal. And I'm just kind of like, okay, well, this could go one of two ways. Let's see how you feel. And then by about 5 tracks in, I was actually kind of like going, okay, I'm glad, because the last thing you want to do is come onto a podcast where you're talking about an album where 3 people have brought them and you just have to say bad things about it. So that was a nice relief, I have to say. I enjoyed this album a lot.
I'm really glad that you enjoyed it, but if you had nothing good to say about it, I would have sat back and laughed, because that's usually what he does anyway. So like, he'll just talk trash about the album, and I'll laugh. That's fine.
I mean,
but that's the thing as well, is I knew it was because like it's when there's one thing of like not liking an album but of a style that you listen to a lot anyway, but there's another thing like with this one where I'm just like, it's just like, do I need to give it more time? Because it's just like I could feel like the do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Like it's just about there. Like you just about get it, but there's something like you just got your finger over the rim of the cup, but you just can't quite grab a hold of it.
That's it. And you've listened to it twice or something, and you're like, nah, I'm gonna need more time with this. I need to really take it in, because it is quite a long album as well, and there's a lot going on. So yeah, it's one of those ones which I think I'm definitely going to be revisiting more after this.
Well,
nice.
And apparently you didn't listen to that. The episode you listened to wasn't the one where we did the first Meshuggah album, because I tore that shit to shreds.
Oh yeah, he just was talking so much trash about it. It's such a good album. It's such a good album.
But I mean, when you're talking about Meshuggah, because the joke in the first episode was that me and the
System of a
guest
Down, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meshuggah.
Yeah, like, but this album was, to me, more bearable than Obscene was. This one had a lot more complexity to it, from what I could tell. Like just the sounds and everything were more complex. It reminded me of almost like more Disturbed, or like Godsmack style, the way they do their CDs, like the layout of it, like the way they lay out the tracks going into each other. The first CD, I didn't get that. The first CD, it was just kind of like one heavy banger after another with like no correlation going in between. Like this CD though, like it seemed like everything collaborated really well. Like the whole CD collaborated pretty well, and I was like, I am pleasantly surprised, Chancy. You did good. Biscuit for you, but
Yay, biscuits.
can't take back later. But no, I mean it's just like I actually enjoyed the CD to some degree. So I mean,
Well,
I got
at least that's a win for me.
I try, Chancy, I try. But I mean, and I do have an honorable mention for it when we get to that in a minute. But your CD, Chancy, what were your top 5 plus however many you got for mention?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I've got.
Are you pulling the Jeremy?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
No, I've got like 8 songs overall, so it's like 3.
That's not bad.
3 honorables plus a top 5. So like, 8 and 7 are I'm listening at the same time because it's the instrumentals. It's the Armies of the Preposterous and then Kaleidoscope. I just was really like, I was like, huh, because with Kaleidoscope being kind of like in the middle of the album. Wait, no,
that's not Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, it was Armies. Armies was in the middle of the album. Kaleidoscope was towards the end. But with the instrumentals being in the middle like that, it's like, is this supposed to be a breath of fresh air, or what's going on here? And then my number 6 for my final honorable mention is the Abysmal Eye. And the reason I chose that is specifically for the lyrics that this is our Omega, facetious nemesis, the great disimaginer of our domain. Like that lyric, I heard that lyric and I rewound it and listened to it again, and I was like, holy fuck, that's awesome. And then number 5 was Light the Shortening Fuse, which was, I mean, perfectly relevant for the state of affairs in many different places around the world today. One of the lyrics on that song that caught my attention was, life is a machine. It will cater to me. Bow, serve, comply. And how anti-establishment the band usually plays and shit like that. It's just like it's mocking that whole sentiment. Number 4 was Ligature Marks. Just, just the, like some of the lyrics are there is like tearing flesh to make it scar, and like all these things. Like it's just visceral and kind of almost reminded me of something that Doug Bradley might write. Let's see. Number 3 is God He Sees in Mirrors. I thought that one was pretty.
Doug Bradley is the guy who wrote Hellraiser, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Just one. I saw Steven looking like.
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, I was kind of.
Well,
I was thinking.
Technically, it was the book. The book was Hellbound Heart, but yeah. The movie was Hellraiser. Yeah.
Got it.
I thought I knew who it was, but I still wasn't 100% sure. I'm like, I know the name.
My bad.
It's Chancy. Yeah. I think it's Hellraiser, but
for sure. Yeah. Number 3 was God He Sees in Mirrors, and number 2 is Phantoms. And let's see. Number 1 is Black Cathedral.
Well, I can easily say we only matched on one or two songs. Like all the rest are like not even on my list. But
I forgot I had I Am That Thirst and they moved below past tense or beyond past tense or whatever it is. Yeah.
what as honorable mentions.
Yeah, I guess I lost those in the fray. But yeah, there was just so many. Like I was listening to it, trying to just jot shit down, like lyrics. Like I gotta fucking write that down because that's why I like this fucking song.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not on my list at all, but I did appreciate the irony in that title of God Can See in Mirrors, because I'm like, well, he's not a vampire then, but I mean, yeah. So as a guest, Steven, you get to give your top 5 next.
I will. So I will, and also like before I did it in the wrong order, so no suspense or tension or anything like that, which of course is such a rookie mistake.
That's
So,
right.
well, you're very kind. So my number 5 actually was Kaleidoscope for a similar sort of thing because it was a nice respite that came there middle-ish.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 4 was actually God, He Sees in Mirrors. Maybe a strange choice, but, strange people are involved. But, yeah, number 3 was probably Broken Cog. Just like that was, it's just such a powerful start to the album. It's like that moment that was kind of like also that journey when having listened to them much before was very much like quite an overwhelming experience in a good way. Number 2, The Abysmal Eye.
Nice.
It's a really strong start to the whole album, I think. Number 1 for me was I Am That Thirst.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, we actually matched on that one perfectly, Steve.
No spoiler.
Spoiler, but the rest of mine are not spoilers. So yeah, I mean, my top 5, and I did have one honorable mention for this one, Chancy. You can jump for joy now. The honorable mention was They Move Below, because that song was pretty sick.
That was it. They Moved Below. That was the word. Yeah.
Yeah, They Move Below was a freaking amazing track. Number 5 was The Abysmal Eye. Because I actually was looking on. I mean, I was playing video games at the same time, so what in between turns in this game of playing, I was watching like the lyrics on Spotify as I'm listening, but it was kind of hard to do it fully like I did the other CDs. But number 5, because my 5-year-old daughter kicked me off my Xbox so she can play on her Xbox. But goddamn, gotta get another gold membership. Just saying. But number 5 was The Abysmal Eye because the lyrics in that were freaking amazing. Didn't write down any lyrics. I didn't have time for that. I was trying to kill Hydra. But number 4 was Ligature Marks because I think everything about that song was incredible. Number 3 was Armies of the Preposterous because 1, I like the fucking name of the track. That's a good fucking name. And it was just an overall good song. Number 2 was Broken Cog because that intro to the CD was freaking incredible, and that's where it kind of reminded me of like Disturbed, like the way they start our CD with like that low music, like that has like a dark tone to it. And then like in a second, or even Slipknot in a way, kind of. But like the way they started, they're not the newest CD, but the last CD. And number 1, of course, as I already kind of mentioned, was I Am That Thirst. Because I love that song. That song was amazing. And actually, Steven, it's funny that you caught on to the System of a Down joke right away. Because I meant to say during when we were talking about your CD that they remind me of System of a Down / Serj Tankian in the ways they write their lyrics, like the way like the same kind of like attacking lyrics that rhyme and are like fun to hear.
Yeah, super direct sloganeering, like the sort of things which are just like here's a sentence in your face, kind of. You could either be a lyric or it could be sprayed on a wall, sort of thing.
Yeah, like the whole freaking line in Prison Song, I smack my bitch when I'm in Hollywood. like it's just like what the hell?
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff they said like just remind me of that. But when you said something down, like it all of a sudden popped in my head, like, oh yeah, I meant to mention that, but I just forgot completely. I had a show before this that the guest was a little bit off on that one. Wow. on my other show. But yeah, watch the video if you want to see why. I'm telling you, Chancy, watch the video. But that is going to conclude Sir Chancelot's CD. And yes, Chancy, overall, I did not hate it like I usually do a lot of your CDs. Just saying. Like their first CD you brought on. Even though I do like Bleed more now that I heard it in Saints Row over and over and over and over and over again. So.
Dude, Bleed's a killer song, man. For real. Like, it's just fucking... Like, literally, it's just all nothing but drums. It's just like, back. It's like... It's almost sensory overload with the drum set alone. And then the lyric, and then the singer comes in and he's like, right, and then you're just like, what the fuck? This is fucking crazy. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the fucking drummer's doing over here. Now I got this guy in my ear saying something that I don't even understand.
Well, I will say, Chancy, it sounded like you just said Jar Jar Binks goes to attack the Empire, but
cool.
But that brings us down to the final CD of the show, which I kind of wanted to save it for last for many reasons. But the final CD, of course, is mine. And it is Twiztid's Mutant Remixed and Remastered, which... This CD originally came out in, I want to say, 2004 or 5, the original version of it, but then when Twiztid left Psychopathic Records under Insane Clown Posse and went to start their own Magic Ninja Entertainment label, they remixed and remastered the CD and made it way more metal than the original version. The original version is almost more rap than metal. I mean, it's still a rock CD because they wanted to do like a half rap, half rock dual release album. And it was Mutant and Man's Myth, and Man's Myth was the rap side, and Mutant was the rock side. But they came out with this version in 2016 when they first started their label, and it was like the first thing they put out. And it's at first I didn't like it at all. Like I liked the original version. I was just sold on the OG version for a long time. But this version eventually grew on me when I started like hearing it randomly on my iTunes, and I was just like, oh my god, this is actually pretty dope that they did this. And it's just. And it's funny because now they're more of a rock group than a rap group. Like all their CDs now have a lot more rock on them than rap. So it's just kind of showed the way they were on to head because they made themselves famous by being rappers, but I guess they always wanted to be rockers as well. So you can have the best of both worlds. Just ask Cottonmouth Kings. But
I'm curious on that. I didn't realize that was the case. So did they re-record or was it just literally just like remastering and just adding?
They definitely re-recorded because even the way they say the lyrics is different in the original version.
Okay.
Like Stardust is a completely a rap song in the original version. Like that was the one rap song on that CD in the original version. And I mean all the other ones were kind of rockish to begin with, but that one they just made completely re-recorded. I don't know how they did the one with Violent J on it since he's the person they left the label of. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how they did that one. They might just throw his vocals on top of music they recorded. But still, I mean, I don't know how they did that one. But it's the whole CD overall is freaking incredible. And yeah, I mean, the original CD started off a lot of things too because of different songs on it. But I love the CD. And when I was trying to match with Steven's CD, it was so hard to pick something So I was like, all right, I don't know any band that's technically art rock or even related to it. Though I should have thought System of a Down. I didn't think of that. But I don't consider them art rock. I consider them like industrial rock of anything almost. But because I mean, well, they don't do like the weird sounds and stuff that like make Hillyh like art rock. But that's what makes them art rock is like the music, not the lyrics so much. But I was trying to think of what to bring to it, and I'm like, you know what? I could finally bring Twist. Well, I could bring Twiztid for a second time on the show, but bring their rock side compared to the rap side I brought last time. And well, that's Twiztid for you. But Steven, what did you think of the CD as a guest?
So when I was like a teenager, I inexplicably became quite a big ICP fan, which was very unexpected from the UK, considering it had like almost zero exposure in the UK. But it was one of those things where, you know, you're trying to find an identity for your music, what you're into and everything. And that was actually part of the appeal for me, was the fact that no one had heard of them or even vaguely heard of them. And I think that like and I was into like a lot heavier music back then, and a lot of the like local press there was this one article on them basically in this magazine called Kerrang, and it was kind of like, you know, I got to have a listen to this. There was this track on the free CD, and I was just kind of like, okay, this is really tapping into my kind of fuck the world kind of mentality as a teenager and everything like this. And I still.
Was the track
that was Hall of Illusions? Oh, that was Hall of Illusions.
Even better. I was gonna say, was it Fuck the World? Because that's a track they did, but
well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing is, you know, because I got into that sort of, I mean, I listened to that album Malenko quite a lot, and then still kept with them for a while afterwards. But I was aware, of course, of everything that was going on with the whole like rise of the whole juggalo scene, the whole everything, that it became more than just an act and everything around this. But I never really listened to any of the acts associated with them. But I knew of, when I saw the name, I was like, Twiztid, I recognize that one. That's one of the few which I do recognize the name of. I think they actually collaborated on some of ICP's material as well.
Oh, God.
So I was kind of like, okay, this will be like a callback to being a teenager again and listening to this. But yeah, honestly, it was far more new metal than I expected it to be. And it's interesting that you said about the fact that it's like a rock rework of a rap album, because, you know, like a lot of new metal ended up just being kind of like this clumsy combination of like rap and rock. And hearing this, I did hear a lot of, although I feel like I'm making it sound, I'm being harsher on it than I actually felt about it, because to me it was actually a really nice callback in that sense, because I was like, you know what, there's some of the horror sort of vibes to this in terms of like the lyrically, and also kind of like some of the melodies as well, but at the same time, I every time that it gets a bit lighter, like the lightest parts of this album were the most off-putting to me. The ones which I was just kind of like, that's not doing anything for me. It was all the heaviest parts of the album I felt where it really kind of clicked best. Like I think there's one track where there's actually an acoustic guitar as well, and that one I was just kind of like, no, don't do that again. I think it's Respirator, and I was like, just stop with that.
I mean, I don't know why they did that. Like,
that just totally pulls you out of it as well. That was just like, it's amazing how much a track can actually put you off everything that comes before and after it. But yeah, there was some. It was a highs and lows kind of experience in this album, I think.
It's funny because I always thought Respirator was kind of like a more metal song to be like. Maybe it's because I think of the original version, and it was like the one metal song off the original CD, because it was like the only song that really have a guitar in it, and it wasn't acoustic in the original one, I don't think either. But I mean, I'll get into that in a minute. But Chancy, I'm dying to hear what you thought of Twiztid as a metal band.
Well, much like it is with, you know, Twiztid and ICP and Esham and Scum and all that stuff. This is actually, I was going to be like, this is trash, and throw my pad to the ground, but I couldn't do it and keep a straight face. No, I did. I have enjoyed the CD. I mean, it was good. I liked the combination. Like Steven said, it was definitely a callback to nu metal because I was, growing up when nu metal was like a thing, like real big, like Static X and Deftones and
Corn, but
Korn, Linkin Park, all that. But at the same time, it still just felt like an ICP record to me at heart. Like even with even listening to all the instruments and everything else, it just still felt like I was listening to an ICP record. Like it's just like, okay, well, okay, we're here.
yeah, well,
I get that. I do get that actually, because I mean, like the influence I think is just like completely undeniable. Because actually, I didn't even look up that it was the same act that I was associating, but then I started playing the first track and I was like, "Yep, it must be 100%. This has got ICP's fingerprints right on there."
I mean,
there it is.
I mean, yeah, Juggalo music all has a certain sound to it. It does 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even if they were brought up by, but Twiztid was literally. People forget Twiztid was a full-on rap group before ICP signed them. They had like 5 CDs out before ICP signed them as House of Crazies, which I gotta bring some of their CDs on eventually. But like they were really good as House of Crazies. They just weren't getting any exposure, so that's why they finally agreed to sign with ICP because they wanted to get the exposure because ICP was getting huge at that point. Like that was after like Malenko, Great Malenko, and that was up with Jekyll Brothers is when they first announced Dark Lotus, which was Twiztid and ICP. So. But I mean, so Twiztid was in between those two CDs when they signed Twiztid. So they wanted to get exposure. That was basically it. And then they got the exposure, got huge, and then I mean, there's plenty of people out there that like Twiztid more than ICP than they'll ever like ICP. And now they're huge, and they went to their own label, and they have like at least the last time I checked, like 7 or 8 artists on their label. So they're doing it, and they do a huge convention every year, Astronomicon, I think it's called, or Astronomicon. It's every year they do a huge convention with gaming, like tabletop games and music and everything else. Like I think there's even like a furry convention there at the same time. Like they do this whole thing. I always wanted to go, but same as a gather.
I'm curious, right? Here's a question, because like we're talking about the similarities with ICP. Like this whole idea of like an act having a convention, like an artist having a convention. That's very ICP to me. There's very few I can think of. Or is that more common than I think? That you got some artists who are like at that level where they will actually have a convention, and I'm guessing these have to be artists where like the fan base is like a seriously committed fan base, right? Where people are gonna.
Well, yeah? I mean, ninjas who are basically just juggalos who like ICP. I mean, who like Twiztid better than ICP, or they like both. I mean, Juggalo ninjas go together basically, but I mean, ninjas are very dedicated, just like juggalos always were. I mean, they'll show up if you do something. The gathering has been going on for 20-something years, and juggalos still go to it in mass.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not the same as it used to be with the drug bridge and everything, but
it's the same thing with like if you want to go back in the day, you got the Grateful Dead, the Deadheads. Yeah. Right. They would, basically every Grateful Dead concert was a hippie convention. Like it was a convention in and of itself. Another thing that I was thinking of was Dog Fashion Disco. They do a lot of weekend event stuff over in their area over in Baltimore. And Guar did they called it the Guarbecue. They would have like a big concert weekend thing with barbecue and all kinds of crazy shit.
That's such a good name.
Guar is one of the greatest, most underrated artists of all time, in my opinion. Like the original, because the lead singer died. Oh, you know of what about Guar?
Oh yeah. They seem really cool.
Nice.
I love the way that you're happy about this, but I'm not seeing that in my other screen.
No. Ever since Chancy really introduced me to Gore, like our second or third episode, and Dog Fashion Disco, like I love both those bands out. But
I'm literally wearing a Dog Fashion Disco shirt right now.
There you go.
Weren't you wearing that like a week ago too?
No, different shirt. Because the other one I had the week ago is the Alice in Wonderland shirt, and this one's the one with Ronald McDonald strapped with an AR-15 fixing to shoot some kid in a McDonald's.
Sounds like that. Well,
yeah, got it now.
No, Dog Fashion Disco. Dog Fashion Disco is amazing.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's good.
Nah,
they're awesome.
They're amazing, and it just sucks that when you do this is Dog Fashion Disco playlist on Spotify, they only give you like 6 tracks, and then like they just repeat constantly.
Yep.
Like, I could give them more tracks to put on that fucking playlist. Like, what the hell? Like, it's literally like Sweet and Sandy. It's only like Sweet and Sandy and like
Vertigo Motel.
Nope.
9 to 5 at the Morgue. Leper Friend.
Nope.
Really? That's why I use YouTube Music, man. I get a lot of their stuff, man.
If I can get it all, it's all on there. It's just when you do like that, they have like artist playlists, and their artist playlists.
Oh.
5 of their songs, 1 of Polka Dot Cadaver's, and that's it. Like one other band I never heard of, but it's just
probably Knives Out.
No.
I was gonna say because that's their third band, because they all like interchange into these 3 different bands. Because like when Dog Fashion Disco broke up, Polka Dot Cadaver got together, and then when they kind of did their own, like, well, everybody started going back to their original stuff, and then the other guys from Dog Fashion that were in Polka Dot Cadaver did like Knives Out, and they're all different styles of vocal stuff. It's kind of neat, really, if you listen to that catalog of different bands, because like. Dog Fashion's kind of like they start off as a heavy metal thing, and then they kind of evolve into this Pink Floyd style, semi-trippy kind of thing. And
honestly, if after listening to your CD, Steven, you would love the song that Polka Dot Cadaver does called Wolf in Jesus Skin. You would love that.
Yeah.
Song.
Wolf in Jesus Skin, or Last Call in Jonestown. Chloroform Girl. I think you'd like Chloroform Girl. Well, everybody, I mean, you can't not you can't not like Chloroform Girl. Like, I can literally tell you the entire basis of the song, and then while you're listening to it, you're still going to be amazed by it, because it's just like, what the fuck, man? Because it's a folksy acoustic song. And it's literally written. It's literally written about somebody that this singer had kidnapped and has had bound, gagged, and chained up in their basement for like
months.
3 years. Because the chorus itself is "Chloroform Girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. You're only alive because I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun. Bound, gagged, and chained up in my basement." But it's all sang like, it's like, you know, "Chloroform girl, how have you been?
This is like a pastiche of country or something.
It's like a 60s folk song.
Yeah,
but just like an atrocity. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's an amazing song. It is, but I had 2 honorable mentions from my CD for my top 5, because I could have easily pulled the Jeremy into C. I could have easily pulled the Jeremy, but I just didn't want to, because there are some songs I don't like as much. But my first honorable mention was "The Truth Will Set You Free," because whether it's the original version or the new version, both versions are amazing. And then "Note to Self" is amazing in both versions as well, so I had to put that on.
Yeah.
Number 5 was "Get Off of Me," which that was a metal that metal version was like kind of like the original as well. And I love the line, like the lines in that though, like your hate is a shame, quit living a lie. Like I I love that. Like, I mean, yeah, they're talking about themselves and people who like try to hate on their music just because they relate to Juggalo music, but I mean, anybody can relate to those lines, I think. And then, oh, actually, I'm sorry. Get Off Me was actually technically an honorable mention. I totally missed one numbering, but number 5 was Fantasy. Even though the original version I like the original version a little bit better because it kind of goes better with a rap theme to it than a rock theme. But like, I'll Be Your Fantasy, like that's sick. I love that song. Like it's just when we do a songs for the bedroom bracket in February, that might be on it, Chancy. Just saying. We're gonna have a participant submitted bracket for that one. But number 4 though was Familiar. The Cycle Is All Too Familiar to Me. Like that song always since like 2009 or 10 when I discovered that CD. Like that song just always hit me. Like The Cycle Is All Too Familiar to Me. Like the whole, what the fuck am I thinking of? Jekyll and Hyde thing. Like The Cycle Is All Too Familiar to Me. Like I always relate to Jekyll and Hyde. Like it's a side of me that you don't want to unleash, but you'll unleash it eventually. But number 3, funny enough, there, Steven, it's Respirator. Because, I mean, I advise you to listen to the original version too, just because the original version is a little different. But
all right, I will.
I mean, just that line though, like you breathe in the air and you get upset, like that usually was me for a long time, just walking out my door every fucking day. Like as soon as I go outside, I breathe in the air, and I just get pissed off. I'm like, God, I gotta deal with this fucking world again. But so like that's why I love that song, for the lyrics. A lot of this CD for me is lyrics because their music, their beats and their rhythm and everything is amazing as well. But the lyrics are what sells it. Twiztid was always so good at writing lyrics. That's where they have ICP beat, in my opinion. Has always been lyrics. I mean, Violent J wrote some good lyrics back in the day, but after a while he started slipping up a little bit. Then number 2 was Triple Threat, which it's not even about the song as much. It's just the fact that they started a group called Triple Threat with Blaze Your Dead Homie, who was on that song. And like they actually they've released CDs as Triple Threat, and some of their CDs are freaking incredible that they released as Triple Threat. Like it's more their attempt at gangster rap when they in that group, but it's just they do gangster rap very well. And then number 1 is my favorite song from the original CD, and I love the version on this CD. Though in the original CD, like they do like a skit at the beginning of it that's hilarious. But number 1 is Stardust. Like, and they actually did a remix on one of DJ Clay's remix CDs of it as well. But Stardust is like just one of the most amazing songs ever. Also a good movie, but the song itself is just freaking incredible. Like the song is just, and I mean, it's relatable because it talks about like snake oil salesmen back in like the old West, and it talks like about basically just drug dealers today, like people trying to sell you anything they can. I mean, the original version conveys that message more, but the metal version of it's pretty fucking dope as well. So I'll take it. But Steven, what were your top 5? Because I'm kind of curious on this one.
Yeah, fair. So at 5, it would be Transformation of a New Civilization.
Nice.
You got the intro just like freaking Chancy always says.
Yeah, I mean, it sets the scene. It was, again, like, you always got that bias when you like a new thing, a new sound, new artist you come to, and I was kind of like, okay. 4, I'd probably say Madness. That was... I love that one. Yeah. 3, Stardust also. That's a decent track. Funnily enough, you mentioned the movie. I remember when that film came out, one of the place that I was working at the time, one of my workmates was also an actor, and but not very successful or anything. But then had his big break. he got a part on Stardust. It wasn't a big part, but he was like telling everyone about it constantly and all this sort of thing.
You know, Robert
And
De
it
Niro?
wasn't until yeah, exactly. He's just he doesn't big up his day job. But the guy that then actually saw the film itself and was like so excited, came into work the next day, and turns out that the scene he was in had been cut, and no one had told him. And it was just one of those moments of just kind of like, I mean, if he was a nice guy, I would feel really sorry for him, but the guy was a total penis. And so, it was actually really nice to discover this.
I love that you just said that way, a total penis. Like,
yeah.
I did, a total penis.
Yeah, exactly. It's just technical terms, this guy needed it. That's 3. So number 2 would probably be Familiar. And 1 is I'm gonna go for Get Off of Me.
Oh, there's a reason that was my honorable mention, because I do love that fucking song. And
all right,
Sir Chance-a-Lot, what about you? Chancy.
Well, my number 5 was Get Off of Me. Number 4 was Triple Threat. Number 3 was Mannequin.
I do love that song, but the original version's better.
Number 2 was Note to Self. Coming in at number 1, Jenny's a Fat Bitch.
I knew it. I'm
just playing. Respirator. I have this I have a running joke with him that if there's a song on there that's like 2 minutes or less, or like anything that has an intro, anything that has a specifically solo intro, like if the intro goes into the song, I won't do it. But if it has intro, track 2, track 3, the intro is always like, it started by accident because I just really liked it. And then it just kind of just started happening all the time. And then there was an Eminem album where I did like a top 5 of all the skits just to fuck with him. Because, I had 5 songs ready to go, but you gotta fuck with him.
Nice.
What else are we gonna do here?
That's it. Exactly.
Keep it informal,
That's the same way. That's the same way my wife thinks, there, Chancy. But but yeah, I mean, see, but Jane's a fat bitch. Actually, Jane's a fat. Oh,
but that's sorry.
Josh motherfucking fired. But yeah. I mean, Jane's a Fat Bitch is actually like a continuation of the previous CD they did, and it's hilarious. Like that, anytime they bring her up in a skit, like they do it like in like 4 or 5 CDs. They bring up Jenny, like it's always her trying to sleep with them, like
yeah,
and it's always like hilarious the way they do it.
Like, no, they told us to stand right here. Like, they don't give a fuck what they told you. You get the fuck out of here. Take that fat bitch with you. Fucking, and then it goes to the next song.
Well, on one of the previous CDs, there's this whole thing where one of them wakes up in a bed, and like before they wake up though, it's this whole skit of like Jane talking on the phone to her friend, like, "Oh yeah, I sucked his dick and everything," and then I think it's Monoxide wakes up, he's like, "Where the fuck am I? Who the fuck are you?" And, like it's freaking like right there from Girl in a way, kind of, but like she thinks they're dating or some shit at that point. It's hilarious, but I think it's actually based on a real person they met too. Like I think they actually based that skit on a real person, but
I wonder what that person. I wonder if that person knows.
I'm sure. I am sure. If they're that big a fan, I'm sure they're well aware.
Yeah,
and they probably don't even care. They're probably stoked about it. Like, oh my god, they put me in another one.
I mean, it's like Superhead in West. It's like Superhead in West Coast rap fame. She knows what she's famous for, and she don't give a shit. She'll be in magazines about it. She don't care. She don't care. Like she knows what she's known for, and she just wants to ride that fame all the way to that bank. But that concludes all 3 of our CDs. A big thank you to Steven for coming on, because it's been fucking hilarious and fun today. Like, this was a
absolutely.
Good
oh, thanks for inviting me. It's a really nice concept. It's a really nice thing.
And I got to learn about new music today from Steven.
For sure.
That's something that's the point of this damn show, is to learn about new music. And me and Chancy can't always do that to each other, because we like a lot of the same stuff to begin with to some degree. So I mean,
well, that's it. And I love, for me as well, like those 2 albums, I definitely would not have, they'd have passed me by for sure if it went for this. So I appreciate it, because, you know, it's what you do tend to find. You get caught in the bubble, right? You kind of end up starting to listen to a lot of the same things. You need someone to just say, like, listen to this. Look, you might not love it, but it'll at least be different to the same thing you've been playing again and again for the last few weeks.
Exactly. If you're like me, you only listen to stuff that you're going to need to listen to for this show when you're driving around. And
yeah, I can imagine.
If I have nothing to listen to for this show, I throw on one of my daily mixes, which is basically just old songs from old albums
from the show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'll literally screenshot my fucking screen all the time while driving and send to Chancy and be like, oh, look what just came on. And it'll be like Chloroform Girl. But which I don't mind when that comes on, but there are certain songs that come on and I'm like when Primus comes on, it's like, unless it's too many keys, it's getting skipped.
It's too many puppies, sir.
Whatever. Too many puppies, keys. You never have enough of either.
Dun. Fucking that bass line though, that dun dun dun.
Yeah, well,
bum bum
like I
dun
said,
dun.
Unless it's that song, it's getting skipped. But
there's so much. Dude, Primus is so awesome. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I've been told by you and other people, but that's a wrap up our show for today. Steven, where can they find you if they want to see your comedy or if they want to see your music?
A bunch of very hard to say out loud links, which, you know, in retrospect was a bad idea. Yeah, I don't know, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, there's TikTok. Maybe I can give you the links afterwards. You can put them in some sort of notes or whatever. But because it's not even as if they're consistent across them all, you know. These decisions you make and then regret at a later date, and you know, then it's too late.
Well, wait till you hear me say mine, then you'll understand that. But they will all be in the description of this podcast when it releases in a week from this Friday. But I'll put them on the description when I do it. Not a problem. I always do.
Nice.
Sir Chancelot, where can they find you in the multitude of places?
Well, they can find me in the Book of Faces under that name right sure. And then I got an Instagram and a TikTok account. That's the Red Eye Roundtable. And then Twitter is the Red Eye Table, because apparently Twitter can't take a fucking joke. And then here, and then basically the places that cause you to wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night.
Oh, my ex-girlfriend's house? I didn't know you'd be there.
Jesus Christ.
I'm learning a lot.
When you're 21 and you just wake up in the middle of the night next to your hot Latina girlfriend, and you just wake up and you're just like, she's using me for heroin. Like, you're sweating and shit, But
Jesus Christ.
So relatable.
Jesus Christ. But you can, what the friggin' twisted tea on my face, but you can, of course, find us on Facebook as Paranormal Than Normal / Maniacal Music Musings podcast with the S Facebook group. On Twitter and the Gram as @Juggalo Bastard. On TikTok as @Juggalo Bastard Podcast. And you can find us on YouTube just by searching Maniacal Music Musings. Be sure to tune in to both our Insane Clown Posse brackets, which will both drop by the time this episode drops. And be sure to keep an eye out for the Gangster Boo Memorial bracket, which will be dropping, I believe, 2 days from the day this episode drops, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. Maybe the week after. Mike, I don't have a calendar in front of me right now. And we will be back on Tuesday with another live show with our next guest, Michael Colby, from a podcast I was on, which I don't remember the name of it at this point, but it was a long time ago. But he is going to be bringing a Pixies album, so me and Chancy will have to see what album we want to bring to face that. So,
nice.
Thank you again for coming on, Stephen. It's been a true honor having you on. And Chancy, stay fly, pony boy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week.
Sometimes you stop to just take a breath. You breathe in the air and you get upset. You don't want to change, you just think you need a little time alone and away from me.